You ever felt intimidated walking onto a job site? Maybe you feel intimidated every time you walk onto a job site. Today is January 6th, 2024. And that's important because January 6th, 1997 is the first time I really stepped onto a job site, a commercial job site, where I was starting my career learning to become a job site superintendent. And I was, at that time, had the label of Carpenter, of which I'd never been before. So I thought today, since I was sitting here reminiscing about my first day on the job site, that I just tell you guys my story, and hopefully you'll get a kick out of it, and maybe you'll learn something from it as well. So, preface, I really hadn't been on job sites much before. I had worked one summer roofing houses, but they were, existing houses that were just getting re-roofed. And I worked one summer on a commercial job site as a union laborer. It was a historic remodel, and all I really did was help attend to the carpenters. So I had seen carpenters, but I didn't really pay attention to what they were wearing. And so that's probably the worst, most embarrassing part of my first day. So, not really knowing what I needed, I just wore what I wore as a laborer as far as tools go, which was a wide leather belt with a hammer, a pair of pliers, and a utility knife. Imagine seeing someone who looks like me, 5'5", 110, 115 pounds, female, wearing all brand new Carhartts, no use, clearly no experience, being told that, hey, this is the new carpenter for your crew, and she's not even wearing carpenter bags. So if you don't know what carpenter bags are, these are I would say, the number one thing that a carpenter has. On that big wide belt, whether it's leather or nylon, on each side of the belt, they have bags, and each bag has multiple pockets. This is where they carry all the stuff that they use most so that they don't have to keep going back and forth to the job site. Sorry, to the job box where all the toolboxes are kept. In the bags, let's say, thinking about my bags, okay, you'd have your tape measure, your pencil, your marker, an eraser, a quickie square, a string line, a plumb bob, a pair of pliers, a pair of snips, a utility knife, I don't know what, a sheep's foot for pulling out nails. That's a lot of stuff. And I had no bags. Where was I going to put this? Also in the bags is where they keep the materials, such as nails, screws, form pins. Nope, no bags. Where was I going to keep all that? Oh, my answer for the day was in my brand new Carhartt coat pockets. Yeah, that was embarrassing. And I had these really warm, thick gloves on. You know how thick gloves are when you're skiing. They don't allow you to do much except manage the ski poles. Imagine I'm wearing these gloves, having to stick them into coat pockets to pull out one nail at a time. Yeah, it wasn't great. And the clothes, I mentioned how clean they were because they were brand new. But keep in mind, there wasn't a women's section at the Carhartt store. So I'm buying the smallest men's that I can find, and they're still 2 sizes too big for me. And I have so many layers on. I look like Tiny Tim in the Christmas Story, where he's got his hands out and he's just kind of wobbling as he walks because he has so many clothes on. Yep, that was me for the day. The guys were nice, at least to my face. I don't know what they said when I wasn't there. I can only imagine, because they looked at me, although nice, they looked at me like I was an alien. Like, what is this person going to do on the job site? She clearly has no experience. Her clothes are yelling that. She didn't bring bags to put anything in, and she doesn't know how to do anything. Oh yeah, and then probably in the first half of the day, I hit my thumb really fucking hard with my hammer. which was too big for me, but it was the hammer to buy because I did research, making sure I brought the best hammer because that's what a carpenter needs. Well, the best hammer for a 200-pound man is not the same as the best hammer for someone my size. Lesson learned. The other thing I really remember about that day is avoiding the Johnny on the spot. And I wasn't avoiding it because I was afraid it was dirty or it would smell or whatever. I was avoiding it because I had so many layers on and I could not think, how was I going to get everything down to a point that I could actually go to the bathroom? And so a big lesson learned on that day was how to layer clothes to make it easier to go to the bathroom. I mean, I had come and I had this coat on top of my bibs. Well, you're going to have to take the coat off to get the overall straps off. And when the overall straps come off, when you pull them down, when you pull those pants down, they're going to hit the ground. You don't want anything to hit the ground of a Johnny ever. So then you got to figure out how to stuff them into the pockets. Yeah, right now you're getting a total lesson on what it's like to be a woman in the field when you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of winter. So once you have the bibs figured out, you still have at least jeans and at least one layer of insulated underwear, cuddle duds, something like that, before you get to the underwear that you finally can go pee. It's a whole process. I don't know how long it took me, but I was in there, it felt like forever. And I have no doubt the guys were taking bets on how long it would take me to go. So there were several things about that day that were intimidating and that were embarrassing, but I made it through. And when I left work that day, I went right to Home Depot and I had made mental notes throughout the day about what the other guys were, tools they were using, what they were allowing me to borrow, and I went and bought them. And I probably went to Home Depot every night for the first 2 to 3 weeks of the project just to pick up something else I'd seen somebody use that day. I also learned quickly, you write your name in marker, your last name in marker on all your tools, because as soon as you loan it to someone, you don't get it back unless it has your name on it. I don't think it's intentional. I just think people forget that they borrowed it. So anyway, after my trip to Home Depot, I went home. And what I remember about that is being exhausted. I was mentally and physically exhausted. The cold, the amount of extra clothes, the anxiety, the embarrassment, all of it. It was exhausting, but exhilarating. And the most important thing that I remember is that I came back the next day. I tell you all of this because I want you to know that the first day on the job, any job site, can be intimidating, but you'll survive. It can be embarrassing, but you will forget most of it and you'll learn from the rest. A first day on a job site can lead to a career that will challenge you, change you, and fulfill you in ways that you never expected. To this day, walking onto a new job site can create a bit of anxiety for me. And maybe it does for you too, but you don't know where everything is. You don't know where the ladders or the stairs, or is there an elevator, and are you allowed to use the elevator? You don't know if they have safety rules that are above and beyond OSHA, something that you wouldn't expect. You don't know, do you have to sign in? Do you have to sign out? Are there areas that I can't go into? Are there areas that I shouldn't go into, but the safety protocols aren't in place to really protect me from going in there? There's a lot of anxiety that can go from walking onto a job site. But what I want you to remember, the biggest thing I want you to take away from today, especially if you're someone who gets that little bit of anxious anxiety before you walk onto a job site, any job site, I want you to remember that every single person on that job site once had their first day on it as well.